Good morning. It's an ungodly hour. It is 4:28 here in Maryland. It's still, you can't see outside yet. It's super early, and I'm up this early because I've got a flight at 7 a.m. To go to Chicago, which I can't talk about because it's under embargo. Not because we're going to shoot a doc and they've made us sign a specific embargo sheet, but because we're going to a preview event, which Noclip has never done before. But I thought it might be a good, I don't know, test case for if we can do this sort of stuff in the future. In case you haven't noticed, there's not that many companies in Chicago. We're not going to Iron Galaxy. We are going to NetherRealm Studios, home of the Mortal Kombats, for a preview event for MK11. We're paying our own way. They're flying in journalists and having them stay in a hotel. Myself and Esteban are flying in this morning, and we're flying out this evening to play the game for about 90 minutes and to do like 2 or 3 interviews. We've got 20 minutes with Ed Boon. There are, I think, 2 other interviews there, and yeah, we're gonna try and basically do really quick design interviews and then try and spit out something like we did with Corey Barlog with the directing God of War thing, just to see if that's something we can do while we're sort of in between big projects. Astroneer's almost done. I'm like 90% timeline complete on that one, maybe 95. Yesterday it came together really quickly, and we've got some really big names lined up for GDC in March. But with that cancelled project in January, we didn't have our big beat this quarter, and I'm starting to feel it a bit with the Patreon numbers, and also I just like to have like a big game every 4 months, 5 months if we can help it. So I think this is a good sort of middle ground it kind of came up, and I was talking to them about maybe doing something bigger, and then they were like, oh, there's a preview event coming up, and I was like, can we come to that and interview people? So that's what we're gonna do. And then these cats want to get fed as well, so they're getting all angry at me about it and wondering why I'm up at 4 o'clock. I'm usually up about 5:36 or maybe 6:37 to my baby if she's being particularly diplomatic one morning. So it's a little bit earlier than usual, but it's all good. The Switch is loaded up with games, so I'm looking forward to my 2-hour flight to Chicago. It's also -8 there, so wrapping up.
Esteban, are you enjoying Chicago?
It's very cold.
It's such a beautiful day. I'm so glad we stopped off at a diner that's a 15-minute walk from NetherRealm so we can walk in the snow.
I love diners.
I ate a lot of pancakes. Alright, so what happened next? God, I've tangled this whole thing, haven't I? Well, first of all, I got a free hat. You can see that. Oh, well and good. Sorry, I've just woken up again. This is what happens. You wake up, I have the baby monitor here, and then you edit some stuff. So this is after the fact. This was a real whistle-stop trip, so we didn't really have much room to breathe at all. After walking through the Chicago tundra to get to NetherRealm, which is in like this most like boring office area, place, like just a car park with a bunch of 1-story buildings. But when we went in, we got a tour of the place. They had a bunch of, I guess they had a big group of influencers before us. I was in with the press, which was rad because a bunch of folks I know from GameSpot were there, a bunch of the IGN folks were there, and even friends of mine from outside Xbox who I used to work with in the UK who I hadn't seen in years. So that was really cool. They gave us a tour of NetherRealm. It's a pretty unassuming office. The sound stage was cool. The audio recording booths were cool. But we were kind of there to do business, so we didn't, there wasn't much room to film around that stuff, so we kind of just we just enjoyed it. Then they stuck us on a bus. We went to this event space, which was maybe 5 minutes from where NetherRealm's offices are. It's apparently a video game space in Chicago. Esteban knew about it, or maybe has been there already for some fighting game tournament. Yeah, once we got in there, they had the whole thing set up for the influencers were there already. The press turned up, and then the deal was that they had a bunch of like prefab interview rooms at the back. You know, the ones like big cardboard backgrounds and Mortal Kombat written on them, like massive floodlights, just like, you know, dousing the stage with big old bright lights. And then they had a bunch of desks for people to play the game, and then there was like an area for media to eat. So we kind of talked with the PR person about like, okay, we don't want to film in there because it looks like shit. So is there anywhere we can set up our stuff? And it doesn't need to be anywhere fancy or anything. So they had like a waiting area for their people that was behind a bunch of curtains. Yeah, we set up lights there and a chair and just did it with enough of a background so the soft photo. Esteban did a fantastic job because we're basically just in the middle of like this trashy area behind the stage. But his color work on the little bars in the background, the girders or whatever, the steel beam things, it makes it pop really well. And then we had 3 really quick interviews. We had Ed Boon for 20 minutes, pretty early. Then we had Dominic Cianciolo for about 15 minutes. He was story director. And then we had Derek Kurtzig, who's sort of the systems designer. And we didn't know who we were going to get. We knew we were going to get Ed, so I had the Fatality video in mind. But we didn't know about Derek and Dom or exactly what their roles were going to be. So the interviews were kind of on the fly. And we kind of made it up as we went along. And what ended up coming out of it was I knew I got my little 5-minute video about fatalities. I wanted to have that. And then the other one was just about making a modern Mortal Kombat game. And it was cool. It was fun to have time pressure and record a 20-minute interview. As opposed to most of our docs where I can talk to people as long as I want. And then at the end I'm like, fuck, I have to edit all this. So I got home and edited it in a day, which was fantastic. But we weren't done there. We also needed to get gameplay because the game has a bunch of trailers out, or had at that stage, but there was loads of stuff that they talked about that we didn't have. So Esteban went in then to play, because he's better at fighting games than me. He went in to play the game. We captured a bunch of it. We ended up getting capture from us and also some other person who left some of their footage on the computer, which I didn't realize until later. And yeah, at about 5 o'clock, I think, we just kind of grabbed our gameplay, packed it all up, hopped back in an Uber to O'Hare.
Snow never looks like snow on video.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, there's some, look at this black background.
In that white truck.
What do you think of Mortal Kombat, Esteban?
It's pretty cool. I'm gonna give it a try when it comes out. And it looks fun. It looks gory as all hell.
Give it a number out of 10.
Number out of 10, I give it
11. The answer's 11.
Let's give it 8 scorpion chains out of 10 for right now.
How did our interviews go?
Interviews went great. Interviews were awesome. Really forthcoming. I think the nice change of pace instead of being asked like, "What's the next fatality going to be?" I think they really appreciate it. Yeah. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to blow your spot. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, and we got back. Esteban did the color in Philly and then sent it to me like a day later, and I had the Ed Boon video edited in 1 day. So that felt like fantastic. Like, I was in the moment, you know, as you know from the intro, I was doing the Astroneer doc at that time as well, and that took weeks to edit. So these are fun. I like doing these. I think they're good for the channel. I also like doing them. And it also gets us a little bit of slack on the whole preview coverage thing, because there was that backlash with the 76 stuff post-game coming out, and some of that is to do with the game and people not liking Bethesda, and we can't handle that. But some of it is like, yeah, I get it. Like, if we're doing preview stuff, then how different are we from marketing? But if we're at a preview event and we're asking them, like, we're doing like punchier videos, and it's less of the, I don't know, you know, a lot of our stuff is quite emotive, and I feel like if it's preview-y and it's emotive, then it's kind of feels like it's maybe, I can see how people might think it's a bit like manipulative, even if that's not the intent. So yeah, I think it's been a fun test, but I'm excited to hear what you think about it. So yeah, let me know what you think of the 2 videos. And yeah, so that's some behind the scenes for this, just a little short one. We'll have a Patreon show up in the next couple of days. The questions will be going up, and we're doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff this month with what's going on at GDC and South by Southwest, which I'm also going to be at in like a week's time. I'm flying to that, so yeah, more behind the scenes stuff coming to Noclip. So until then, see ya.